order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please.
Don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield. Here. Knudsen. Kennedy.
Here.
Ruck.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
All right, first thing is comments and suggestions from citizens present. This is your opportunity to comment on any issue before the city that is not currently on the agenda tonight. If you do have a comment, please come forward to the podium, identify yourself and your address. Try to keep your comments brief. Try not to repeat other people's comments. Yes, sir.
Nicholas Kramer, 50 Meadowlark, be District 2. Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Nicholas Kramer, and I'm here to strongly oppose the use of flock cameras in our community. Flock cameras are automated license plate reader systems that indiscriminately capture and store images of vehicles, license plates, and their locations as they pass by. They don't just snap a picture. They log the time, date, GPS coordinates, and identifying details of each vehicle, creating a searchable database that can be used to track where people drive, how often they go there, and who they might be traveling with. While marketed as a crime-fighting tool, in practice, they amount to a mass surveillance of everyone on the road, not just suspected criminals. This isn't just about discomfort and being watched. This is about upholding the rights and civil liberties we are guaranteed by the Constitution. Right now, there is a federal lawsuit against Virginia's deployment of Flock's ALPR network, and it draws on two critical legal precedents that you cannot ignore, that being Carpenter v. United States and Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, the Baltimore Police Department. In Carpenter, the United States Supreme Court ruled that collecting people's digital location history without a warrant is a search under the Fourth Amendment. The court recognized that piecing together someone's movements over time reveals intimate details about their private lives. That is exactly what flock cameras do. They track where you go, when you go, and who you might be with. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the whole of your physical movements. That has been clearly established. In Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, the Fourth Circuit struck down Baltimore's aerial surveillance program because it turned into a constant, warrantless tracking into a mosaic of people's lives. Even though each individual observation was public, the prolonged surveillance was unconstitutional. Again, this is exactly what Flock's system does. It creates a large, AI-powered, searchable database that maps our life without cause or consent. Council members, it is your legal and moral obligation to uphold the Constitution. If you continue to fund and expand this program, you are expressing a blatant disregard for the Constitution and trampling the rights of every citizen in the city. Public safety is important, but it cannot come at the expense of constitutional freedoms. These cameras are not safety. They are a surveillance dragnet, and I urge you to reject them before the city finds itself on the losing end of another federal case, or have wasted thousands of taxpayer dollars when they are inevitably ruled unconstitutional. I strongly encourage the City Council cease funding the installation and subscription to flock camera services. I will finish by quoting the wise words of Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety neither deserve liberty nor safety. These systems are deployed all across the city. I know that they used COVID dollars to implement them, and it's foundationally wrong. People are being tracked everywhere they go, indiscriminately, and as a city, we need to stand up for the Constitution and stop funding these programs. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments?
Hello, I'm Maureen Matan. I live at 608 Locust Street. I emailed the council and the mayor about fixing the stairs, the 6th Street stairs. And I just wanted to come in person and say, I know that you're looking at bids, and I feel that people who don't live in downtown Hudson may underestimate how much those are used, and were especially used when they were in better repair. Hudson is currently a very nice walkable downtown, and that's an asset and a resource that already sits here, and just requires maintenance. It's not an ask for more or new infrastructure. If the budget can work and it doesn't put the city in any kind of hole, I think it's a really reasonable project. And I guess my question to you, which doesn't need to be answered here, is as you look at these bids, how can the citizens, particularly those of us that use the stairs, make clear how well they're used without doing some kind of expensive study? I'll just add one thing. I live in such a location that in my house I can look down on 6th Street where it meets the stairs. And I'd say between 3 and 20 people a day that I see in good weather are using the stairs, and oftentimes large groups. And then, when the weather's bad or the stairs aren't walkable, no one's there. But they're quite well used. And I just wanted to make that clear. And I will follow up with Sarah, my person, and find out if the city needs more information from those of us that support the stairs to get in touch with people and say, this is a reasonable project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, my name is Bruce Horn. I live at 205 17th Street in Hudson. My comments are directed towards waste management, the city's waste hauler.
I'm sorry, that's on the agenda tonight.
It's on the agenda.
Yes.
Where is it? I didn't get the right copy then.
8B.
Okay, I'll come back.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Approve the meeting, I'm sorry, consent agenda, sorry.
Presentation.
What?
Presentation.
Oh, presentation. Oh, sorry, boy. Sorry about that. Yep, 2026-2030 capital improvement plan and staffing request. Sam.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sam Hudson, Finance Director, as I get set up here. What is in front of you tonight is the 26 through 30 CIP, but what I'd like to focus on is the 2026-2027 CIP, because that will be the next bonding cycle. So what I have here this evening is a slide deck that goes through each of the asks from each department that would be included in that 26-27 CIP. Want to make clear that this is not approving, we're not asking council to approve anything tonight. The point is to have discussion. Maybe you think, I'll pick on police because they're the first ones up. Maybe you think that they need 3 squad cars a year or they only need 1. Some of that discussion is what we're hoping to have here tonight. Brent, if I miss anything while we're going, please feel free to jump in and stop me at any point. Come on now. There we go. So the first off, as I said, is police. They are requesting in 2026 to replace 2 squad vehicles. That's the same in 2027. Historically, my understanding is the replacement schedule has been 2 each year. And then also $130,000 for the replacement of their patrol boat. Total that comes to $530,000. And I'll stop there and see if there's any questions or comments on the police. Where'd you get the $200,000 figure? Roughly $100,000 for each. Jeff, am I correct? 60 for the vehicle and 40 for outfitting?
So each brand new squad car is about $45,000, and then the equipment to buy and have it built is another, give or take 40 to 50 plus $1,000. Each computer is about $6,000. Rifle, radio, some of that stuff gets reused, but not all the time. If it's an added vehicle, or some of these radios are 20 plus years old, so they need to be replaced. Radar unit. Things like that.
Did the price go up? Because I don't recall them ever being this much for 2 vehicles.
Price went up. Yeah, we used to pay $22,000 a squad car. A few years ago, they went up way over 40, 44, 45,000. With the hybrids, they're about $7,000 more, but we've already scratched the surface a little bit on how much those are actually saving us. So.
And how far gone is the boat?
It's not gone. It still operates, gets us from point A to point B, but it was never designed to be a river vessel for easy loading and unloading and getting off and on. And you have a,
Is that an old whaler? I don't remember.
it's a Boston whaler. Yeah, it's a deep V hull boat, which is one of the big problems. You can't even get close enough to the island without jumping off of the front of that thing. So, and the other thing with the patrol boat is that, you know, with the DNR grant, they reimburse up to 75% of a new boat. So that's why I was asking for it in 27.
Thanks.
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Okay, if you want.
Moving on to the fire request, $500,000 in 2026 to replace tender one. My understanding is this is a 2005 tender, has about a 20-year life, and the frame is starting to rust out on this particular unit. $50,000 for replacement of turnout gear, $100,000 for the addition of a pickup truck, which is tied to the addition of an assistant chief, which Chief Spielman will be up here discussing shortly. And then $50,000 for office build-out. They're currently out of offices within the fire department, so addition of two offices there. And just a reminder that approximately 40% of this will be paid for by our fire partners through the contracts with them. Any questions or discussion on fire?
Well, I do, but are we coming back, or this is the time you want it?
Please, if we,
The 50,000 for turnout gear, we just bought new turnout gear. We just did that.
We did. So the problem that we run into is it has to get replaced in a 10-year cycle. So we bought all of it at one time, and to start to get back on a schedule, replacing it in small chunks going forward, we have to start now. So we're about 5 years into this. So we're trying to do so many sets a year to get back on a cycle. We're not buying one big lot at one time.
Okay, and so then what did the rest of us miss when we built the new building for you, and now you're asking for another build on it?
Correct.
So the
So the original plans for the building showed 2 additional offices. To save money at the time when they built, they removed those.
Okay.
So it's designed to have those offices in that portion of the building, but they were removed when the final building was built. They were never built out.
And this is for potentially the full-time service assistant chief.
Correct. And right now we have our assistant chiefs and our fire inspector sharing an office because we don't have additional offices for the people.
And what are we gonna have to do to the upstairs if we go full-time?
Nothing. It's already completely built out.
Just unlock the door.
Yep. That's true. That's very true. It's all we got to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Anybody?
as a part of our IT build-out, we're at 26. The ask is for $35,000 for security applications, $40,000 for PC replacement, and $50,000 for network switches, and then another $40,000 for PC replacement in 2027. What we're finding is in October, November this year, we all have to upgrade to Windows 11, I believe, Brent?
Yep.
And some
Not
of
all
our
the
machines are
equipment.
not all able to do that. So we're finding we have to replace more PCs than we thought.
Anybody?
Elections in 2026 is requesting $65,000 for the purchase of a DS-450 counting machine. My understanding is this will help read and sort ballots in the central count much quicker. Public Works is asking for $325,000 to replace one of the plow trucks, a 2010 International, and $50,000 to replace a 2021 Toolcat, which is the side-by-side, which you can put different attachments on the front of. In 2027, $50,000 for a Graco line laser and $225,000 for a vac truck, which would be a stormwater, vac trailer, which would, for cleaning storm drains. It would be paid for out of stormwater.
2 questions for Mike or you, Sam. 50 grand, we just bought one in 2021. Now we gotta get a new tool cat?
I will,
What, are we beating our equipment up or what?
Oh, that's a good question. And that number could probably be reduced because by the time we trade it in, we've had it on like a 5-year cycle. And the reason we do that is because we get a really good trade-in value for our current one. And it just keeps the new maintenance, keeps it under warranty. So if there's any repairs, it's covered, so on and so forth. So that could probably be, I was just looking back at the last time we purchased one back in like 2018, we had gotten like $30,000 in trade-in value. So that number could probably be reduced and fine-tuned.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the Graco line laser, is that to make straight lines when we're painting?
Yes. With one eye open and one eye closed,
Can't
yes.
you find a cheaper one?
Well, you've seen it, our guys. It's a little buggy. They can sit on it, right? It's just easier for them to paint. So our unit is pushing, let's see, they got it like 4 years before I got here. So 12, 13 years we've had our current unit. So it's time. Yeah. Yep.
Will that actually solve some of the straighting?
So with our unit, we can paint long longitudinal lines like fog lines, stuff like that. It's not meant for that. They do get off. They do get a little wavy with that unit, just because it's a small cart, right? And you're going, blocks down the road. The ones we get are more meant for, parking stalls, arrows, crosswalks, ped crossing, that type of stuff. That's what we primarily use it for. It's not to say we can't do some longer stuff, but we try to stay away from it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Next up is streets. My understanding, this predates my time here, but there was a study done internally that suggested that we go from $2 million in street projects funding up to 2.5, and we did that 2 years ago, Brent? And then now, between 26 and 27, the study suggests we go from $2.5 million a year to $3 million a year in funding for street projects. I'll note that this does not denote a specific project. The engineers bring those forward at the beginning of the year. One item of note is the PACER rating from 21 to 23 did increase by that roughly 0.5. We do not have the 2025 PACER rating yet, but we are seeing an increase in our pavement quality. And then in 26 and 27, $50,000 each year for sidewalk, curb and gutter, trail maintenance, and alley reconstruction. I think one of the questions Brent and I had when putting this together was, does the council still feel comfortable with that increase from the 2.5 million to the 3 million? And we'll get to the levy impacts of that here in a couple of slides. Parks is requesting $50,000 for the replacement of playground equipment and mulch and really all the equipment at Anderson Playground. My understanding is that's just kind of on the annual or the cycle. It's come to the end of its useful life and needs to be replaced. And then $15,000 in both 26 and 27 for miscellaneous park benches, fences, barbecue grills, things of that nature that need replacement. So when we wrap that all up, you'll see some large numbers in front of you. $4.1 million in 2026 and $4.5 million in 2027 for a total just shy of that $8.7 million if we included all of this in a bonding. I asked Ellers to put this all together. They thought it'd be closer to, with fees and everything, about 8.9 if we were to put this into a bonding, $8.9 million. They also said that the approximate debt levy with our new equalized value would be about $67,700 each year. When you use that equalized value, being that we don't have a final assessed value yet, for every $100,000 in property value, you'd be paying about $30 a year. So on a $500,000 house, you're looking at about $150 a year. with this all packed into it. This is a graph that you guys have seen when we came to you with the 2025 A bonding. This is our current debt levy and mill rate. You can see it stays steady through 2029 and then starts to fall off ever so slightly all the way through 2046.
Of course, there's the expectation that we would be getting additional capital improvement.
Yes, this does not include any future debt
Yeah.
issuances.
Yeah.
If you were to add a 2026 A debt offering with everything that was included in this presentation, here you see the debt offering or the levy going up to roughly $1.4, or excuse me, $1.40 per thousand on every $1,000 of assessed value. That being in 2028, kind of reaching a peak and then falling off through 2047. With that, I guess I do have Eller's lovely disclosures there that we shouldn't swear by any of these numbers, but looking for feedback from council on this as a whole and or individual pieces of it. And happy to go back to any slide if
I think a big question, and this helps, but we're up against a debt levy, and you're asking for opinions on our budget, but we haven't even done our operations yet. So this kind of, we're gonna have to shave somewhere. This is not gonna be pretty.
No, it's not, and, right, so what we're talking about here, of course, is bonding, which is outside of debt.
Yeah, but we don't wanna tax it more.
Don't get me wrong, I know, I mean, it all adds up and it certainly increases people's burden. Also, what we haven't discussed really, I mean, briefly, but haven't included in here is, we're gonna be going out for a referendum next year for full-time fire department. And we have everything that we're looking at is big ticket items. We've got 2 bridges that we have to be very concerned about, and we're gonna have to be borrowing probably for both of them at some point in time in the not too distant future. And so we've got, folks out there are gonna be hit with some pretty tough, steep tax increases.
And we do have our special meeting on Monday as well, that we can bring this stuff back around
Yeah.
when we hit the numbers, if that's what people wish to do. But yeah, you're right, there's a lot of big numbers to be talking about on
Yeah.
that special meeting.
All right, any questions, anybody? Are you about done, Sam?
that's all I got. I will. I think we do want to bring our staffing requests as well forward for the 26 budget. So that would be Mr. Mraz and then Chief Spielman as well.
Okay.
So again, every year we want to make sure that our department heads are looking at their staffing needs and whether we can fill the position or create the new position, or if we have to look to another year. I think it's important for all the department heads to recognize their staffing needs every year.
Yeah.
So we have Miraz's staffing needs, I'll step in first, but I think we've added 1 new person since about 2005 or 2007, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's what I found in the records.
So we've got his staffing needs, and then we also have the chief's, fire chief's staffing needs as well.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I'm fully aware of the budget, the operational budget. It's going to be tight this year, right? And so, like Brent said, it's more of just an awareness level for the council, just to kind of explain where we're at, where we compare to other cities. If we can somehow get it in this year's budget, great. If we can't, we'll just keep plugging along with what we have. And it's just, you all know the phone calls that you receive. I receive them as well. It's a level of service, right? We've gotten to the point now where we're we're chasing our tail. We're playing a lot of catch up, right? Thankfully, the last couple winters have been quiet. The winter before that was very challenging. It was challenging on our staff. Guys not able to take vacation. If someone's sick, they're in a plow truck for 18 hours, 20 hours at a time, and that's not healthy. So in my issue sheet or in the thing I had put together, it just kind of explains, over the last, since 2005, we've added 12 miles of roads, which equates to about 24 lane miles. We've undertaken the stormwater MS4 program. In the Parks Department, we've added amenities, whether it's the splash pad, which, by the way, I've got good news about that in my update. Granby Park restroom
Mike, can I
facility.
just jump in?
Yeah.
I don't believe they have an issue sheet in front of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So just explain your numbers and we can,
Yeah.
we can get them a handout.
Yeah,
It's in
it's
there.
here.
It was attached.
It's just keep scrolling up,
Yeah.
Randy.
Miss it?
It's below that.
All right,
Keep going
continue.
the other way.
Sorry about that, Mike.
No worries.
I thought you were.
One more. There you go. So yeah, parks, obviously, Bellow Rose Park, that was just developed. And then we have 2 of them coming online here within the next 2 to 5 years. The one next to the Boucher Apartments, the one in the St. Croix Meadows, which is the old dog track. That's a 7-acre parcel. And right now, we only have 1 full-time employee in parks and supplemented with some seasonal. So that specifically is the need. With all the events that are happening downtown, locating irrigation lines all the time, helping set up picnic tables, garbage cans, fixing irrigation, a lot of the stuff that's out in the ancillary parks often get not ignored, but just pushed down the priority list. So water fountains don't work, a leaky toilet or, water leak in the restroom, those types of things. If a playground needs to be repaired or patched, you'll see cones out around that piece of equipment for 3 to 4 weeks instead of, if we had another employee, maybe 1 to 2. That's hard to tell. But and then in the bottom, the trails question too. Obviously, we continue to add trails, maintenance on the trail, so on and so forth. So you all know kind of where this is headed. But and then on the last page that I had reached out to area municipalities, River Falls, Menominee, Chippewa Falls, New Richmond, population cities in the area, and it just gives you an idea of where we stand versus them. That's streets and park staff combined. We're lowest out of all of them, in some cases by over double. And so it just gives you an appreciation of what our staff does for our community with the amount of parks, the roads, the trails, so on and so forth, and what we actually get done. So we're lean and mean. And so things might not get done ASAP, but they ultimately do. That's kudos to our staff and appreciate everything that they do for us. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, obviously you can email me, call me, but that's kind of where we're sitting. So
I have a couple of questions. How much overtime are you using each year?
yeah. So last year we were right at budget, which was around 40,000. When Aaron Reeves was here, our overtime budget was reduced during budget times. We had like $80,000 in the budget for overtime. It hit or miss, right? 3 years
Yeah.
ago,
With winter, yeah.
we were way over, right?
We don't know.
Last 2 years, it's been a push. So biggest driver on overtime is the winter season. Yeah. There are times throughout the summer, whether it's storms that knock down trees, street lights, traffic signals, sinkholes, catch basin lids pop off, that type of stuff. But for the most part, the main driver is the winter months.
How much would we save on contracted work that we contract out if we had some more employees?
Yeah, that's a good question. So obviously we contract out with St. Croix County. It's kind of a catch-22 because the stuff that we do contract out, whether it's striping or mowing ditch lines or ponds or up 3rd Street Hill, right? We pay the county like $15,000 a year. If we were to bring that in-house, then we got to buy a tractor and we got to buy a mowing arm and that type of stuff. So there is a benefit for contracting out. In the wintertime, we hire a company to come and do the parking lots downtown. That's paid out of the parking utility. Maybe the money that could be saved on our end, but again, you've got to buy another piece of equipment to do it. So it is kind of a catch-22 when it comes to contractual services. Good.
Yeah, and did we have the estimated expense? We're looking at about 100,000 for a position in that department. That includes benefits and all the other pieces.
I don't know, you'd have the answer to this, but any idea what your budget might have been in 2005 versus today?
In 2005?
Wasn't that the last time you hired somebody on?
Oh, so we brought someone on, when I first got here, we added an employee back in, I believe it was 2018?
2018.
Is when we got the employee.
One person?
Yep. So we added a position on at that time.
So from 2018 to now, the difference in the budget, any idea?
I don't know off the
I
top of
think
my
it's
head.
substantial.
Yeah, it's not much. Basically, we've increased it for some paint, some asphalt materials for spray patching, but the operational side of our budget has stayed fairly consistent, to be honest with you.
Okay, That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So, all right, well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening. Sam and Brent wanted me to just discuss the possibility of requesting an additional position next year for the fire department. This kind of came to realization when our discussions with the town of Troy started about building a fire station and taking over additional services down there. Should that move forward, we're basically starting a fire department from the ground up. That's including the entire capital side of everything, building a fire station, purchasing trucks, buying equipment, getting personnel on board. And when we started going through everything that was going to be involved with that, I thought, well, being this is going to benefit them directly, part of that agreement would be that we could possibly look to them to fund a position the first year, because we would be dedicating a lot of time to that portion of our operations. In addition to that, should we be lucky enough to have a referendum pass for hiring in 2028, that 2027 period is going to be a lot of planning, a lot of logistics to get stuff up and running for 2028. The addition of this position also allows for the continuity of management. Currently, right now, we have 2 volunteer assistant chiefs. One of them is probably going to be looking at retiring at the end of the year, which leaves us with 1. Not that we wouldn't have somebody internal that may want it, but again, you're looking at a volunteer position that can't commit the time to helping manage. The way it is right now, I'm the only one that attends every meeting that involves the fire department. So this week, all 3 nights, I'll be at meetings. Next week, we'll have meetings. So I not only attend city meetings, but I attend meetings in other municipalities. We're part of the Association of Washington County, Minnesota, a lot of that stuff. So I guess there's just a culmination of the workload that's in this position, and trying to get basically another fire department off the ground next year in the town of Troy is going to consume a lot of my time. But I don't want to neglect the 4 other municipalities or the 3 other municipalities that we're responsible for. So in the end of the day, this is not strictly going to benefit the city of Hudson. It benefits 3 other municipalities as well. And I don't want to neglect the other ones when we're trying to get basically an entire fire department off the ground in 2026, 27. So that's the justification for trying to move forward. It would be a 0 cost to the city and the other fire partners in 26. We would be looking at starting that person in late April, early May, so that money that Troy is willing to put forward initially would cover that person for that 8 or 9 months. So the goal is that it was a 0 cost to the city with what they were proposing, or what we proposed to them for them to pay for. So, yes.
For that 9-month period that you're talking about, and then it would revert back to, are the wages shared amongst the other municipalities then?
Correct. Yes.
So again, they would pick up 40% of that cost, so that'd be 60% for us?
Yep.
Okay. And what are you do you have an estimate of what you might think that wage would be?
Yes, comparable wages to be able to attract somebody and retain them would be about 100,000. So with benefits, about 135.
Okay.
Is that duty chief or assistant chief?
Assistant chief, which then dovetails in with the duty chief, so that takes myself, that assistant chief, our fire inspector, our fire marshal, because we're salaried, then we can take the duty chief positions and we can rotate that amongst the four of us. And that would be a zero cost because we're salaried. Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions? Same as Mike, phone calls, emails, wherever you want, we can meet. Always open for questions. Thank you.
Steve?
I think that's it, yeah.
All right, well, thanks, everybody. Food for thought.
Uplifting.
Yeah.
Big help.
All right, consent agenda.
Approve the meeting minutes from the August 18th regular council meeting and the August 20th special council meeting, and approve the claims in the amount of $1,562,553.54.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion and second to approve, roll call.
Morissette,
Aye.
Wakefield,
Aye.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved, consent agenda is approved. Amend the City of Hudson Personnel Policies Handbook.
Okay, at the last meeting, we had our other attorney here from Eckberg Lamers to talk about the Personnel Policy Handbook. We went through all the details and the potential changes that we have placed throughout the handbook. One of the comments that we received was new language regarding the funeral leave piece. I made some amended changes that was in the packet, and our attorney reviewed it one last time and saw that we should change the language even more slightly to be to replace funeral leave per year to be funeral leave to be used for any death. So that was the one change that she had over the changes that I sent out. So I wanted to make sure that you had a copy of that. Other than that, we had questions about drug policy and all those other issues. What you have in front of you is just the Personnel Policies Handbook, and the other two pieces, let me pull that up. Hold on one second. The Personnel Policy Handbook changes the draft and the position needs form that I had included in today's packet. On the next meeting, we'd like to bring forward the drug policies piece that we had talked about. That had a little more detail. We wanted to make sure that we discussed that further with the attorney. You guys had questions, and we want to go over that one more time before we bring that forward. So the request today would be, I would call it probably a second reading. Any other questions that you've had? Maybe you've had a chance to go over the changes that we talked about at the last meeting in detail. Seemed like there was just the one change that we had, which was the funeral leave piece. The other thing that I would consider or think about that we need to maybe elaborate on is in here we propose to change the schedules for the raises throughout the year to just bringing them to January 1st. That would also involve a proposed change to the budget. So that would be part of the budgeting discussion, right? So if we followed through with the policies handbook as it's written today, that's sort of accepting those changes. Doesn't mean that we have to accept those changes, right? If it comes to the budget and you don't want to, you want to remove that piece because it costs about $50,000 or so, you can remove that back out of the budget. We would just then go forward and amend the policies handbook to take that piece back out. So that would be the idea that we would be looking at. As it sits today, I think it's everything's in place and in order for what we proposed at that last meeting.
Anybody?
I have a quick question about the, in your issue sheet, you talk about making the changes to maintain compliance with state and federal rules and regulations. Does the state offer us a blueprint of what, I know we get the chance to
Sure.
to create it the way we want, but is there a clearinghouse of, you gotta have these 20 bullet points? Rather than us just do all this work and then realize, oh, you know what, we never thought of this, or we're violating this or that.
Yeah, I can tell you state statutes are changing all the time as well.
Okay.
So you're always going to have to amend and change and follow through with your policies as time goes on, right?
Okay.
So this is not it's done and it's over with. It's let's always take a look and review it, and that's what our attorneys are there for, to constantly review those documents for us.
Well, and many of these items are a matter of discretion as well, right, and determination. So Lida and her team work really hard to create a standard form, consistent and uniform starting point. But then in the public sector and in the private sector, there's a lot of discretion as to how policies will be drafted and how they will be applied. So, you know, I think here it's been some time since the policy handbook has been reviewed. Some clients review them often for consistency and to make sure that the policies match the type of culture and the type of work environment that you want to have. You know, others will put it on the shelf, and if it's not broken, they don't work to fix it, right? So it's really a matter of how active you want to be in managing your handbook. This one required some updating just because of the changes in law.
Okay.
But you can be as active or as inactive in managing your policies as you'd like to be.
Okay.
And a lot of times that changes in law can happen with changes to the legislature, changes at the federal level, or even court cases that make its way through both the state court systems and federal court system.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Everybody good? Good.
Well, what would be the pleasure on this?
You want to adopt it?
I would hope that we could adopt it to move forward. This will also go toward, our conversations that we are currently having with the police union as well. The only thing I keep wanting to put that little caveat in there, that if we're not able to make, depending upon how the budget goes and our budget discussion, just be aware that we may have to pull those pieces back out to match whatever the budget proposal is. So if we can't make that adjustment of next year, about 50,000 worth, to get everybody set to the January 1st deadline, we may have to bring it back in October, November, to have that pulled out when we're expecting whatever from the budget. Okay?
This is policy, so you just need a regular motion?
And we don't need to see the part you were changing. I thought you said you're bringing something back that you're changing regarding the drug policy.
Oh, yes, that'll be in October. Excuse me, not October. At the next meeting, September 15th?
Yes.
Is that
We
it?
need to wait and see that
September 15th.
before we vote.
No, that is separate. Those are separate policies
Gotcha.
to the handbook, excuse me.
Okay.
So I see what you're saying. Yep, those are completely separate policies. The drug use policy has been taken out and separate from the handbook.
Thank you.
The only thing in the handbook as it sits now is still the DOT policy.
Okay.
All right, so what's the correct
DOT
language
drug
for a
policy.
motion?
Well, I was asking, is this policy, or is this an ordinance change, or what is it? Can we just move
I
to
think
approve?
it's
It's just a
adopting,
motion.
adopting language
So
for the
I will move to approve it then.
Second.
motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on the second reading of ordinance 8-25, amending chapter 141 of the municipal code of the city of Hudson, short-term rentals.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll kick this one off. So the council had discussion on this ordinance back in July and then again in August. And we're bringing this back with the revisions that were discussed at the August meeting. And I'll just briefly walk through each one of the blue lines that you have in your packet. So the first blue line is the definition of owner occupied. The owner resides in the premises a minimum of 183 days per calendar year. That'll come into play in just a second. 141-4 performance standards. For license applications submitted to the city after the effective date of this ordinance, all short-term home rental properties must be owner-occupied, that definition I just read, unless the properties are exclusively rented for 7 consecutive days or more. So those would be our longer term rentals that are protected by Wisconsin law. Applicants shall submit proof of owner occupancy with their license application. Properties for which licenses were validly issued by the city in accordance with this ordinance prior to September 2, 2025 shall be exempt from this owner-occupied requirement to the extent that the property owner has not changed, the property is being used as a short-term home rental, and the use of the property remains in strict compliance with the requirements of this ordinance. You'll recall that in August we discussed this owner occupancy requirement, and the council's direction was to move forward with owner occupancy as a requirement, but that those who have permits today and continue to have permits or continue to obtain permits and continue to remain in compliance with the ordinance should not be subject to that requirement. So that's the rationale for the drafting of that change. The next blue line is at letter O in 141-4, proximity to other licensed short-term home rentals. For license applications made after September 2, 2025, the property line of the licensed short-term home rental property shall be not less than 300 feet from the property line of any other licensed short-term home rental property. So we discussed at the August meeting the 300-foot separation, and that's the language that you see here in this provision. At 141-5, applications will be processed in the order received by the city subject to the number of available permits described in 141-7. Application shall include the following required information. So now we are establishing priority by time of submission and delivery to the city. We're adding in requirements for proof of notification of owners of adjacent properties in the form of a notarized affidavit stating that all owners of adjacent properties have knowledge of the short-term home rental license application. We're adding in proof of owner occupancy in a form acceptable to the city, and that's where required, and a copy of the tourist rooming house or bed and breakfast license issued by St. Croix County. So that's a separate license that's issued by the county. We also note now that incomplete applications will be rejected by the city. So if applicants don't submit everything that they need to submit, the city will not accept their application and their applications, and if any fee that's provided will be returned to the applicant. At 141-7, there was discussion had by the council and the clerk about who issues these licenses moving forward. We're changing the process from the licenses being administratively issued to now being issued by the city through its city council. And so you'll see at 144-7, there's certain information that will be made publicly available on the city website: name, phone number, address of license holder, address of rental property, and date of license expiration for transparency, so all can see who the owner is and who to contact. No license will be issued if the property owner has any outstanding debt owed to the city, including but not limited to delinquent fees, taxes, special charges, forfeitures, or other debt the licensee owns to the city. No license will be issued if the property or its operations fail to comply with the requirements of the ordinance. So prior to application, the property must be in strict compliance with the ordinance, namely meaning that there can't be an operating rental there without a license. It needs to be in compliance. And then finally, the number of short-term rental licenses issued by the city shall not exceed 25 at any one time. Of the 25 total licenses, no more than 15 may be issued for properties located within planning districts 1 and 2, considered together as a single district, and no more than 15 may be issued within any other individual planning district as identified in the city's most recently adopted comprehensive plan. Then as we move to 141-9, you'll see a bunch of language that is stricken in red. This all related to the fact that the licenses were administratively issued, and this was the language that would have provided for an appeal to the city council. Now the city council is making the decision, so there's no appeal to the city council. You'll see blue line at the next provision B, which is modification, suspension, or revocation. 2 sworn complaints filed with the Hudson Police Compliance Officer will be grounds for consideration of modification, suspension, or revocation. At C, the Hudson Police Compliance Officer is the appropriate person for the filing of these complaints and not the clerk at the City Hall. So we've changed that. There's been some change to the judicial review process now that the City Council is granting or renewing licenses. The appeal is directly to the state court, the circuit court, as provided for by state law. And then violations and penalties at 141-10, the council had some discussion on this. Any person who operates a short-term home rental property as defined in the section without a license or violates any of the performance standards in 141-4 while unlicensed shall be subject upon conviction thereof to a forfeiture of not less than $500 nor more than $1,000 for each offense, together with the cost of prosecution. Each violation and each day a violation occurs or continues to exist shall constitute a separate offense. So that addresses those that operate without a license and gives us a municipal citation option in terms of enforcement. So lots of changes, lots of updates, all a product of really good discussion with the public and the open houses that city staff held, and then a product of the conversations that the city council had in July and August.
Question. On 147-7, which is also germane to 141-9, relieving the administrative duties of it to the city council, to me, brings in politics. I don't know why we would do that. We don't want it to look like we're politically making a decision on issuing a license.
It's really the same process that you've adopted or that you're charged with for liquor licenses, right? And so liquor licenses are not determined by the clerk. Liquor licenses, the clerk does all the workup, but those licenses ultimately come to the council for approval, and they're taken on a time basis. So when those applications are made, they're made first in time, or they're put on the agenda for the council to decide. That's really the same process that we utilized here. And the question, and we discussed this in August, the question was, would you rather put that responsibility on your clerk, or would you rather have the city council make that decision? So I see it as being more consistent with what you do in alcohol licensing, and less about politics. It's with the clerk currently, and you can certainly keep it there if you'd like. But the discussion was, is it better to take that responsibility to the council and align it with alcohol licensing, or would you prefer to keep it with the city clerk?
And that came out of our August discussion, is why we changed it in here.
That's correct.
Yeah, thanks.
So help me understand that. So are we going on first come, first serve?
Under the changes, yes.
Okay, but we do not do that with liquor licensing.
You don't. I mean, here the question is, if I suppose if you get 3 or 4 applications in at one time, how do you pick? How do you pick and choose? And I think the only fair
Liquor license has been before council that way, where we've had 3 for 1 license available at one time.
Right, but we didn't, and we decided who was going to get that license as opposed to who had the application in first.
Correct.
But if I'm reading this right, isn't this going by who has the application in first?
That's the way this is drafted. I don't know that the liquor license considerations in that respect are the same as your short-term housing considerations. For example, you have a very, very limited number of liquor licenses to grant, and liquor licenses are granted for various different reasons. You may have different considerations for why you grant a liquor license to one as opposed to the other. Most of your short-term rentals are probably going to be pretty similar in nature, I would suspect. So, to Councilmember Morsette's question, well, how do you differentiate between one short-term home rental and another? you can draw significant distinctions on liquor license applications, location, type of establishment, things that you're looking to promote within the city, where it may well be much more difficult to differentiate between short-term home rentals, particularly if they're all in similar location and you have licenses available. So, from my perspective, it's easiest and probably most fair to take short-term home licenses on a time submitted basis, only because it may well be more difficult to distinguish between advantages, disadvantages, things you want to promote and whatnot.
No,
but certainly
I don't disagree. It sounded like that conversation was going in a different direction, though. Go ahead.
I was just gonna follow up on that. So we open it up and, let's say 1 month we have 4 applicants for 4 different houses, and there's enough licenses available. So you're kind of teeing them up to the council, but the council can say yes to 2 of them and no to 2 of them. So it's sort of get in line.
Correct.
First one in line is gonna be presented first, but it's no guarantee of us, just because you were there first doesn't mean that we're gonna vote you positively, correct?
100%. These licenses are a privilege, they're not a right.
Okay.
There's lots of information that needs to be supplied, and at the end of the day, the council still has discretion as to whether to grant or deny the applications.
Okay.
So Becky, could you refresh my memory? How many licenses do we have out there right now? How many are operating?
14.
14? And what's the disbursement throughout the city?
I don't have that right offhand. I don't mean where they're located.
Yeah.
I don't have that map in front of me.
By district, by?
Yeah, I don't have that.
Do you know how many we have in planning districts 1 and 2?
I don't offhand. Do you know that
We
offhand?
had that map. It's
I know, and I
it's
didn't bring it
over
with.
90%, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's room for, if memory serves me correctly, and we go by the 15 per, in that planning district, I think there's 3 more, I think, if memory serves me correctly, available in planning district 1 and 2.
Okay.
To be double checked for sure.
There will be plenty of opportunities in the other planning districts,
Plenty of
which
opportunities.
don't have nearly as many.
I want to echo Nick's comments about how thoughtful this was. I've gotten lots of emails and comments from residents, so I certainly thank the city staff. I know they have put in a lot of work. I thank all of you here, because I know you have put in a lot of work, and Nick as well. As a point of clarification, I'm wondering on the proof of occupancy, is that something that we need to call out so people know, or is that something that Becky will navigate? What documents we're going to accept for proof of occupancy with respect to the?
Yeah, I put some thought into that, and I don't know that I necessarily want to shoehorn us into only accepting certain types of proof of occupancy. Only because I know proof of occupancy can come in various different forms, whether it's a license, whether it's a utility bill, whether it's a credit card statement. And I think we're best served to leave that to the city to determine whether what's been presented satisfies the city in confirming that a person has lived in the property for 181 days.
All right. And then, should this be adopted, walk us through what that process would be. I talked to Mike Johnson a little bit ago, but I think it'd be nice if we all maybe heard what that would look like if we move forward with this tonight.
Yep, so if this were to be approved, at the next meeting, we'd bring back an ordinance that would rescind or remove the moratorium on short-term rentals. That would be after this ordinance is published, and then we do the same thing, and then the moratorium would be relinquished at the time that ordinance is published the following Wednesday.
So the affidavits and all those documents would be on the website at that time for those interested in applying for the license?
Yep, that'll be, Becky and I will have to do some work on that.
I'm looking at you like,
And,
It won't be, it shouldn't be too bad.
and then the license isn't actually granted until it comes back to the next council meeting?
For new ones, yep.
For new ones, yes. Okay.
Correct, and just to put a fine point on this, so if the council were to adopt this ordinance tonight, which it could, given that it's a second reading, It doesn't mean that we're ready to accept applications, right? We're still operating under a moratorium until that moratorium is listed. So these changes would be published. That's when they become effective, but then we're still operating under that moratorium. So then we would bring an ordinance to you for approval, lifting that moratorium and effectively allowing this ordinance to go into effect. Once this ordinance then goes into effect, then we're open for applications for those additional licenses.
Yep.
So,
Isn't that what I just said?
I just wanted to be clear, for the record,
You're
because
good.
I know
You're good.
people hear different things. I want to make sure
Right.
that it's very, very clear.
Anybody else?
Move to adopt ordinance number 8-25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve.
I have a comment. This whole thing started off poorly. And I think that perception is reality. And I think that this whole thing was crafted around a targeted person, I believe, in our community. And I don't think we were doing our safeguards to the whole city as a whole instead of crafting one ordinance around a particular. I asked the chief in a discussion about how many complaints, maybe a handful of complaints on the certain individuals' properties. No different than any of our other ordinances that would qualify for some kind of intervention into the house that's causing the issue. There wasn't any complaints filed, I don't believe. Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. If there was any complaints filed particular to these particular houses. Now, for sure, you have to follow the rules, follow the ordinances we have, get a license to operate. But I think this perception is reality, and we targeted an individual business because of the whatever reason. So I'll be voting no, because this, to me, is an overreach and a targeted ordinance.
Anybody else? Roll call.
Morissette,
No.
Wakefield,
Yes.
Kennedy,
Yes.
Brooke,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. Application for reserve Class B beer / Class B liquor license, 800 Carmichael Road, Taqueria, Las Pachos.
Well, it's in your packet, the application, and we have a gentleman here, Axel's here to go over the location. They are located in the old Buddy's Bakery location.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion? Would you like to make a comment? Yeah. As long as you're up there.
No, I was just, I don't know what to do, I guess, I'm hoping for the approval, but of course, at your guys' discretion, we're planning on remodeling, kind of, hopefully getting like an expansion of the exterior to add like a patio, so patio seating. It was where the old Buddy's Bakery used to be, so, before that, it was, Hudson Bagel Shop, and there wasn't really much movement in terms of, like, the livelihood, the environment of the restaurant, and so we said, let's come on in and try and revitalize here, for the community at least,
Okay, great. Thanks. Anybody? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks. Good tacos, by the way. Discussion on current services for waste management contract.
Well, I had brought this up with, to have a discussion, because when they sent out their postcards, they had dates on there that said, have this ready for Wednesday, July 21st. Well, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, they've missed each date thus far, except for this week, so. I know others have had complaints in their districts. It is not going well. And when they do, they don't care, they're rushing, it's all the way at the middle of the evening. There's garbage that they don't pick up and just run over. A couple incidences of it, but it's not working. I'd like to see us go out for RFP, and if we have to add, if we can get a company that wants to do composting of some sort, I'm all for it. But I think, and I asked Nick, I don't know if you remember or recall, them changing the schedule in the middle of our contract, did they breach our contract with changing the date?
Yeah, my recollection, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I looked at this over in New Richmond, and assuming that the contract is similar, they have requirements to communicate with the city. So, and I think Brent, you had sent it out. I don't know that I looked at it any further here, but
Okay, that's a legal term. Give me a yes or no. Did they breach the contract?
let me pull it up.
No.
I know I like to pretend to be a lawyer, but that doesn't work.
Well, I do believe representatives from Waste Management are here as well. And then we do have the contract that was sent out to everybody, all the members that are present. There is a out clause within the contract, but there's also, representatives here, and we can send a stern letter if we'd like. We can opt out of the contract at some point if that's the desire. Realizing that we would still have to go out for bid, and there'd probably only be one, maybe two bidders that would be out there on a contract like this, knowing Waste Management would be outside of the contract, because we would have just removed them from all possibility. So I would say, if there's an option, they're here, maybe they can explain what's happened, maybe they can detail how they might be able to fix the issues, and then go from there and see where things lead.
I'd like to hear from them.
Yeah, me too. And I just, Randy, to your point, I get that. When we at Public Works discussed this at the last RFP, there were some services that we looked for. Composting was one. And we made the decision based on a lot of different things. One was putting a burden on every citizen to pay for all the services, even if they didn't want them. That was one. And then when we finally got down to that service level, obviously they all said, we'll service you great. And it's hard to put that in a contract that we're gonna hit every date, pick up blowing garbage or whatever. So that being said, yeah, I'd love to hear, because we've all heard the complaints of what's going on, not just with the timing of this recent change, but that also brings up, people say, I was putting up with it, but now I'm really mad because we missed the date, whatever. So now's the kind of time to kind of either straighten our ways or move on. But again, just to throw it out there, it's a lot. RFPs are a lot of work, and I guarantee you, everyone that's going to fill out the RFP is going to say, "Oh, we're going to provide excellent service, no matter what."
That's not what I'm saying, Mike. I mean, and I supported what you guys did last time.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I don't know how we put that into a contract that we better not have a lot of complaints or we're going to move on again, type thing.
Well, I think but the question was, were they required to get approval from the
Yes.
city to change the dates? And there's a specific provision in the contract that says the map will be provided by the contractor, the Public Works Department, and Hudson Police Department of the specific pickup days. Any change in the schedule of collection shall be submitted in writing to the city Public Works Director and City Administrator for approval.
Which I think they did do.
And then Mike, if you're out there, we also brought that here to explain what those changes were. I think you brought that, that was in June, I think the beginning of June.
Yeah. Waste Management reached out and notified me of the changes to the schedule, which was then put on Public Works for discussion, and ultimately came to council just for a update. And so that's kind of how those changes came about.
Yeah, it wasn't step to it without going to the Public Works Committee as well.
I do want to echo what Councilmember Morissette has said, and I'm grateful that you brought this forward. As you probably all recall, I was not in favor of moving forward with waste management, in part because of customer complaints that we'd had in my entire time on the council. And so I remain very disappointed, and So I am in support of, I'm in agreement with you, Councilmember Morissette. I'm willing to listen to Waste Management, but I'd really like to direct all the calls that we get directly to you, because they're in abundance, and I have had my own issues as well. So,
You guys have anything you want to say?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor O'Connor, council members and trustees. My name's Tim Miller. I'm the public sector rep for WM, and I cover this section of Southwest Wisconsin, which includes the city of Hudson. With me tonight is Tyler Westland. He's the district manager at the local site. I was here a little less than a year ago when the decision was made to continue with WM as your hauler for trash and recycling. I'm very thankful that you made that decision, and I do believe that what we're experiencing right now, I mean, every business has its struggles, and a lot of it can be boiled down to two main bullet points, and that's human capital, staffing, and vehicle capital. And WM has made investments in both of those, and like everything, it is a struggle. However, we're in the middle of, and I can let Tyler speak to the progress of where we're at and where we're going, but it's not without its challenges. Let me just say that, and that's on us. That's to get it corrected. And my commitment to you and to the residents, the public, is that WM will get that corrected. That is our commitment to you. But I do want Tyler, he'll speak to where we're at right now and the direction that we're going. So thank you.
Yeah, it's certainly not fun to stand up here and speak about this. But where we're stand from a staffing standpoint, we've had 2 open residential driver positions, and I just got approval to open a 3rd requisition to help support that. Coincidentally, today I got 1 offer approval to send out to a driver, or a new hire, I should say, and I'm waiting on a 2nd approval with multiple interviews lined up the rest of the week here. On average, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to train and get a driver fully go through WM's full training capacity, which is pretty extensive, to feel comfortable with him or her on that route, operating and driving as efficiently as should be. With that, I have escalated over the last few weeks, just because I share the frustrations, I think, with everybody in this room with it. And I have gotten 3 area relief drivers. The 3rd just started last week, so we will start seeing a lot better improvement from there, just with having 3 area relief drivers helping fill these some of these open routes. Along with that, from our fleet side, like Tim was saying, we've invested multi-millions of dollars in getting 7 new ASLs here. We also are looking at our fleet improving to a CNG, compressed natural gas, to some of your late fall and early December, which will ultimately improve our fleet to more improved and efficient ASLs, automated side loader, basically a residential truck that you see. So now we've escalated kind of the staffing point. We got the area relief in. We've escalated some of the fleet issues and the capacity that we've had there. Our director of fleet, our area fleet manager, have essentially been working side by side with my district fleet manager. And these 7 new ASLs we have we're at full capacity now with our fleet being on the road. That started just as of last week. So I echo kind of what Tim was saying here is it will improve quickly here between area relief, the fleet driver, or the fleet being up. And then just kind of me, I just started in the Somerset very late last year, beginning of this year. So I'm kind of following Tim's footsteps, but I've been with the company for almost a decade now. So we're looking for the improvement. We'll get that improvement here going forward.
So you're saying that you changed your model to adapt to 1-day service in Hudson But you didn't have the staff or the trucks to do that?
We did have the staff. We ran into a couple retirements, and I had to remove a driver. I'll just say due to safety concerns. And that's where we had the two wrecks open to replace between a retirement and this driver. And I added a third wreck, and I have my routing analyst team, our operations improvement team, reviewing and adding a potential route, an additional route Monday through Friday to help relieve some of that stress.
So now you're saying you have additional trucks and drivers
Yes, sir.
to accommodate the routes, Wednesdays only?
Monday through Friday.
Okay. And that's recycle and trash pickup?
Yes,
How
sir.
does lawn waste factor into this? Do you have the same drivers doing the lawn waste on Fridays, or, because they've missed a lot of Fridays?
Yep, and that's
A lot of complaints about that.
and that is part of the third rec and adding the additional route, because we're looking to add the additional trash and recycle route Monday through Thursday, with the idea of that Friday being the yard waste driver. I have ran the yard waste routes as much as I can out of my personal vehicle over the last few Fridays to help out. But just kind of going back to that staffing piece and getting the third area relief driver along with the fleet up is really what's going to move us forward now.
What's
I think
the
that would help your
protocol?
customer service, because that's what's happening. I'm sorry to interrupt, but they're rushing to get it taken care of, so they're slamming the cans down. Garbage is flying everywhere, and they don't pick it up because they got to get going, you know?
Yeah, and I would say that's part of having the right fleet and the fleet out there, the right trucks and equipment. That will help solve a lot of those problems. But as well as the kind of going back to the training and bringing on these new drivers, there's an aggressive way to service a container and there's the right way to service a container. I think you're seeing some of the aggressive ways, to your point, rushing, getting done.
Chuck that can.
Right, and I will say I've had myself one-on-one conversations, and I'll tell you, my operations managers and myself. I mean, my day starts at 3:30 every morning, and so I'm having those conversations one-on-one. I'm making sure I'm in the office, launching the guys, and addressing a lot of those issues and concerns, because we do field a lot of phone calls as well. My ops specialist and my OMs and myself.
So what's the protocol if the lawn waste isn't picked up on Friday? Is it picked up on Saturday, or does it wait till Monday, or?
Nope,
Or do we have to wait another week?
Nope, it's picked up on Saturday. We fleet a driver or two on Saturday to get that cleaned up.
Okay.
So piggybacking on that, so on other items as well, so if the pickup for most of Hudson is Wednesday, there's some parts that are Friday. If that doesn't get there and you think, oh my goodness, I should give them grace and give them another day, and then you call and then you get told, hey, you know what, you needed to call earlier in the week to get pickup. Can you please walk us through, if their pickup is on Wednesday, do they call and it doesn't come on Wednesday, should they call right away on Thursday morning?
The way our system is set up is our tablets or our drivers basically go one by one down their route, and then if a route is not finished or not picked up, an out dial should be going out and communication should be going to the residents saying, there's been a delay in your service, we'll be back tomorrow, not next service day, we'll be back tomorrow, the following day, to resume service or to get picked up. So I would say that no, residents shouldn't have to call. I will say there are occasions and there are times where there might just be a missed pickup, and if that's the case, then please call and notify us, because then we put in a ticket, we send the driver back there to service the customer.
If you've hired 3 new employees and you said it takes 6 to 8 weeks, so is that what you're anticipating, how long it's going to take for the service levels to get acceptable?
Nope, I have the green team and the 3 area relief drivers until we are running and operating how we should be, and that came from our director of operations.
Explain what that is, the green team.
Green team is basically we have area relief green team. They're basically swing drivers that cover kind of the upper Midwest. Green team covers WM nationwide. So when we escalate certain problems, kind of through our chain of command, they will move drivers around appropriately to help cover those sites that need it. And just with some of the escalations I have, they gave us 3 of them.
In 3 weeks, you're saying, I haven't had service on the day it was scheduled. So is that, I'm supposed to get a text notification, an email or something automatically?
Yep, there should be an out dial going out to you.
I'm not getting them either.
I've received them.
I thought I had it set up.
I received them.
I certainly get my invoice to
I
me.
get other emails, but I haven't gotten this.
Not an emergency that they missed, so that's something that needs to be addressed.
Yep, Tim, you help us with that?
If you're set up with a my WM account, yeah, okay, then, and you should. And if you did not get one, then I would love to, I need to hear from you.
Good.
And I will address that with our customer experience team.
Billing is different than the customer service.
Right. But
You don't get my payment until I get customer service, get it?
I get it, totally get it. I totally get it. I know exactly what you're saying. One other aspect of that reroute in having resources in one area, basically it's all routes in one area, is those 2 things I mentioned earlier, staffing and trucks. If a truck goes down, if a driver is ill, our dispatch is able to say, I'm going to move these stops to this route, these stops to that route, and they can absorb the route in an effort to get it collected on the scheduled day. That was the whole point behind the reroute, is to improve service. But again, timing is everything, and it did not come without its challenges at the most inappropriate time, which we're here to tell you that's what we're working on to correct.
So is overtime authorized so that so that you can get those picked up?
Yes, I have drivers basically working 67 and a half hours a week, basically to what they're allowed from a DOT standpoint.
DOT limit.
When do you think you're gonna have this corrected? So 6 weeks out?
No, I'm thinking it'll be corrected this week. I mean, it's been escalated that much, and I know there's probably some question marks flying around in everybody's head right now about that. But just with the area relief and the fleet and the attention that I would say I've demanded from up above Tim and I's level, it will start improving drastically very quickly here.
The staffing aspect, that part those guys won't be up to. There's 3 recs open, and he made an offer on.
Well, we have 1 offer out. I'm waiting for the approval on the second.
Okay, so those individuals won't be up to speed. It would be like.
Your green team is.
Be like me jumping in a truck, right? I would struggle.
But better.
But, yeah, the green team would step in and they would improve that.
Have they up to this point?
Yes, absolutely. I think so.
It's been the green team.
What's that?
I'm sorry. It's been the green team currently.
Only 3, right?
Just over the last, we got our 3rd guy last week here. So yeah, it's been just getting adjusted and acquainted. Yes, the improvement will start here this week.
It's a mess, and I hope you guys figure it out, but we have a citizen here even that I'm waiting to hear what you have to say as well, because we've all experienced it and we've all gotten the emails and calls, so. About the.
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
It happens. I'm in business myself, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
is there any
that's.
chance of it going back to the old way? Or is this the business model you're sticking with now, this one?
I would say at this point right now, we will not go back to the old way, simply just due to the fact that there's a number of customers kind of across our whole area that were affected. And so to communicate and bring up some of those challenges would be extremely difficult at this point.
And the biggest reinvestment so far, like I said, has been the staffing and the trucks. So we have the right amount of vehicles in place currently, and now it's getting staffing up to the level, like you said, you're a business owner, getting the staffing where it needs to be, and that's when you see the service that you expect.
All right, anybody else?
Well, I appreciate you guys coming up. Like you said, it can't be easy to, schedule this on your Monday night. So I think, again, there's this idea of perfection, and I know you're not saying that specifically, but in business, we've all gone to the restaurant where the food doesn't come out right or whatever. Maybe it's brand new or maybe they're making changes. I think these guys did a lot to show up. Now we put a face to a name or a name to a face of who's responsible for this. So, my thought is we've had this discussion. They've made some promises, maybe even some more additional promises than we had 2 weeks ago. Let's put this on the agenda for 3 months to do a checkup and give these guys a little breathing room. Obviously, they're a vendor that wants to work with us rather than us just shut the door on it. So, I appreciate you guys laying out kind of what your next steps are, and we'd love to see those. And let's give it 3 months to do a gut check then.
And I will add to that point, just to your point, I do have a daily meeting follow-up with Tim, our area public sector manager, my boss, director of operations, and it is being talked through it, and the city of Hudson is being talked about almost on a daily basis to make sure our service is improving. So it's being addressed on almost all levels at this point.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, you had wanted to make a comment earlier on this. Do you still have something to say?
Okay, the right time?
Right time.
Anyway, the comments I was going to make were about waste management, or are about waste management. We live at 205 17th Street. My name's Bruce Horn, and we typically have no problem with our household waste being picked up on time on Wednesday. Works great. My big complaint has to do with yard waste. Over the past month, our yard waste is not being picked up on Friday, and we've had to call Waste Management 3 times. So 3 out of 4, basically. Last one was just this past weekend. Waste Management does send us a notification if they're missed the pickup and when they're going to pick it up, which this week we received on Friday evening for a pickup on Saturday. Well, they didn't get any notifications since then, so we called them today and they eventually got around to picking it up. But anyway, waste is not good on the yard waste side. My other comment has to do with a rumor that's floating around about yard waste. Supposedly, later this year, the bag pickup with a green tag on it is going to be discontinued. And the only way you'll have yard waste picked up is via the tub. And I haven't seen anything to confirm or deny that rumor. And if it is true, I think it needs to be looked at, because I don't know what people are going to do in the fall when they have a lot of leaves. Put it in their household waste tub? I don't know. But anyway, somebody might want to think about a little bit what we're going to do in the fall with all that yard waste. Although we don't have as many ash trees anymore, so maybe that'll...
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks. Any comment on that?
Bruce, we hear you.
All right, Bruce, to answer your question, the rumors are true. The bag pickup curbside is going away. The 2 contractors that did submit an RFP to be the hauler in Hudson, both of them, the Waste Management actually extended it a year just to kind of educate the public. The other one that submitted wasn't even going to offer that service. So we are discussing that at Public Works Committee. We have been for the last several months, trying to figure out ideas, whether it's roll-off containers at Public Works facilities or, partnering with the county to come up with a spot. The problem with Hudson is we don't have a compost site, right? They have branches, leaves, and that's been a thing that's been a thorn in my side since I've been here. The problem is with Hudson being built out the way that it is, it's hard to find a spot to put it and not inconvenience a residential neighborhood or business. So needless to say, we are trying to figure that out. It's on the agenda next week. And hopefully we'll kind of get some concrete answers and start doing some education over the next months, especially when people are coming to buy tickets and stickers, say, hey, this is the last go around, here are your options in the future, so on and so forth. So, but yeah, I hope Waste Management kind of hears us loud and clear. I know a lot like you, Thursdays, I just kind of cringe coming into the office, not knowing what we're going to walk into. So it'd be nice to kind of go back to the way it was, because for my first 6 years here, great company. You know, we only had a handful of complaints every year. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right, any other comments? No? Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources comment period for Lake Malibu drawdown request. You want to go? Or you want
Okay, the first is the Lake Malibu drawdown request. That is the comment period. It ends September 6th. I know we've all received a bunch of questions or comments from public as well, sending in to the council. I'll be replying to all of those with a label as to where they can send their comments to. The DNR is accepting those comments all the way till September. I did say September 6th, right? Yes. Yep. All the way through to September 6th, which is a Saturday, this coming Saturday.
So not the 5th like it says in the letter here?
What's that?
Yeah, the 5th.
It says the 5th in the letter.
Well,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah. The 5th is a Friday, the 6th is on a Saturday, so I ended up with just the 5th, get them in.
Oh.
We would be submitting by the 5th.
Yeah, that's their comment period.
Yeah, their comment period.
Yeah, I think that just is a function of how many days starting.
Okay.
You know, 60-day window or something like that.
And again, with their comment period, we as a city may, and there's a sample letter in there, may wish to place our comments in before that period runs out. So that's what this first item is. So I did have a sample letter in your packets, and there's a couple main points as talking about the Lake Malibu drawdown, and points 1 and 2 talking about the need for additional modeling, and you don't have it up in front of me.
So we have
Go ahead.
We have been in touch with, contact with the DNR a few times since probably the last time we met on this. Stantec, also the company that was under contract with the Lake Malibu Association to do the modeling for the drawdown. We've talked with them, as well as the representatives from Lake Malibu Association. Ultimately, our last conversation, by the way, was this afternoon. So the DNR has said that the drawdown will not happen this year. So then we've got to try to figure out what we're going to do for comments, because we think that everybody needs to hear exactly what is being requested and the data that supports it, the analysis that was done by Stantec, the modeling that was done by them. And the association has said that they believe that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and they would like to make sure that everybody's in the same room, same time, and get the information correct. So we had suggested, and it's not just us, I mean, you've seen the emails, you've gotten the phone calls, there are a lot of people that are asking for a public hearing. We suggested today to the Department of Natural Resources that they do the public hearing. They have different rules with regard to the public hearing. What they said was that you sign the application and then we'll have a public hearing. And it just didn't seem right, it's kind of the cart before the horse. And we explained to them our protocol here is we have the public hearing and then we determine what we're going to do. So we suggested then that we would do the public hearing and invite them in, and so then everybody would have an opportunity to discuss what it is the association, Lake Association would have an opportunity to discuss what it is that they want to get done. Stantec can talk about the modeling that they've done, the city can then talk about our concerns, as well as the other option that we discussed here about using the secondary dam to help facilitate the drawdown, but maybe also help with the issues that we have with the North Bay. We're asking that Stan Tech do modeling on that, on that option, to see what would happen if we were to do that, if they can do that type of modeling. DNR is okay with them doing that and still be within the guidelines of the grant that was given to the association to Stan Tech to get this done. So, there are two things, I guess, that would happen tonight. One is that we would make a comment to the DNR, which is reflected in the letter here. The other is to have a discussion about consideration of signing that application at this point or putting it off into the future. And then determine also about a time period for a public hearing. Okay. First of all, determination if we want a public hearing, and then if so, then a time period for that, time frame for that. So that's what we have before us. So the first thing that we would take up is comment period for Lake Malibu drawdown request. That would be the letter, right?
Yes.
Okay. So our comment, the city's comment, okay, to the DNR, and this is kind of what we laid out. So for those of you from Lake Malibu, I can read this. I don't know if you've seen it yet or not. You have seen it? Yeah. Okay. You don't need to read it, right?
Yep. Generally, the first one is the sediment loading and the modeling. What happens to any of the sediment as it goes over the primary dam? We need to see additional modeling. That was one of the big things that we had concerns with, or we may have concerns with. And then the second one is, or I should say staff has concerns with, the second one is the secondary dam drawdown, aid in drawdown. So those are the two pieces: modeling for the primary release of materials, and then the second for use of the secondary dam as possibly helping with the drawdown as well.
One of the things that we learned today from the DNR is that at least the people that were in the room, they consider the secondary dam and the primary dam one dam.
Oh.
So they do not have a problem with us utilizing the secondary dam to facilitate the drawdown. They believe that if we were to open that dam wide open, that it would accommodate only about 25% of the drawdown. So that's wide open. So the primary dam would still, and we talked about this at the last meeting, we knew this, the primary dam would still have to be used no matter what. We could not accomplish this drawdown with just the secondary dam. So, but again, that's going to be put off until next year, and the DNR has said that, I presume this would still hold true, they believe that the best time to do this, a drawdown, is in the fall.
Yep,
Right?
September.
So, yeah,
Yep.
so we're talking a year from now. Okay. Anything?
Yeah,
So-
no, that would just give everybody an opportunity to do if the city wishes to host something of a public hearing, public meeting, whatever it might be, it might give Lake Malibu Association the opportunity to get more information out there as to what they're intending to do, and then also potential for the additional modeling that I think is needed, maybe before we're comfortable with proceeding with the drawdown.
And Stantec did the modeling, though, for the original idea, correct?
They did some modeling as far as the overall loads that may come through the dam, but not where the deposition may be of those materials.
And so if we do, if they provide the modeling for using the secondary dam, it says in there, who's going to pay for that? What if they
Well, we're
say we'll
hoping
do
it'll
it?
come out of the grant if, we don't know that the Malibu Association, the contract, we don't know what the contract value was with Stantec. I don't think it's $2 million. So we're hoping that there's money left over, and we got, the DNR believe that if there is money left over, it can be used for additional modeling that would include the secondary dam.
Yeah, modeling would just include any of the impacts of lowering the dam. So that's what we're asking for. It's the same process,
Suzie,
right?
you got a comment on that?
Well, if I could, just a couple of comments. Regarding public hearing, I know when we talked this afternoon, the DNR will not accept our application again until every dam owner approves it.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry, Rich. Lake Malibu Dam owner approves it. So as Rich indicated, it seems backwards. And so when it comes to public hearing, the DNR had indicated this afternoon that there have been 2 people that have requested public hearing and all the comments they've gotten. So they cannot do a public hearing unless all the Lake Malibu Dam owners approve the drawdown. The municipal owners and Lake Malibu have to be in sync. So just an FYI there.
But that's if they facilitate the public hearing.
Correct.
And we agreed then that we would do it because our rules are different.
Correct.
Right.
And Lake Malibu would be a part of that. We would encourage that. We do believe there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it would be very helpful to have the DNR and Stantec present to provide that information and answer questions.
And we have here, everybody at this table has received multiple requests for a public hearing.
Well, and a public meeting or public hearing would definitely give this council an opportunity to review and decide whether or not we still want to be part of the application.
Right.
So the end all kind of stops with you guys on a vote as to whether or not we're going to go forward with an application, which then the DNR can review, or if we're going to say no to an application, depending upon what we hear as a result of the modeling and studies and the impact to both to things like our beach, the St. Croix River, and where that sediment and silts may settle out if they do.
So another thing that I just remembered from the discussion about a public hearing, if the DNR were to do that with their rules, is that they would make a presentation, allow for people to comment about the presentation, and that would be it. There is no interaction, no give and take, no question and answer period. Whereas if the public hearing is here, there would be that interaction.
True. FYI, I'm sorry, St. Croix County has signed, and so has North Hudson. Town of Hudson has it in front of them tomorrow.
If we do the public hearing, which I'm personally in favor of, I want to make sure that it's my understanding that the county also might be a good person or entity to make sure that they're aware of our public hearing so that they could also share their findings as well.
The county?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're concerned about the phosphorus.
Doesn't sound like they're too concerned about it. They signed off on the application.
That's going to be reconsidered.
Okay. Well, which application did they sign off on, Susie? The new one?
Yes. That's going to be reconsidered.
All right.
I just came from the county version.
Okay. All right. So, yes.
Would Stantec have the modeling done before, the additional modeling done before the public hearing?
Yeah, they don't know about the request, although, I mean, we made it pretty clear in our last meeting, we want additional modeling that would involve what happens, especially coming around the railroad bridge off the main dam, but also to do modeling for us on the bay. What we were told is that they haven't done modeling on, all they've done is modeling on the loading that's going to come over the dam, not what happens to the sediment once it goes over the dam. And that's what we're looking for, especially in the North Bay, is, but also we'd like them to do that because of the delta that's out there around the swing bridge as it comes into the North Bay, once it gets beyond the railroad bridge.
And I think that's important information if we're having a
It's
public hearing to
absolutely-
have that.
Yeah.
There's not only the sediment loading, but there's the additional hydraulic force of the additional water coming over as well as you're
Right.
rushing it through. So the one thing though is it'll probably take, whether or not they're able to do it under the existing grant, and we heard the DNR today that would likely qualify, but the request has to come in from the Lake Association to do the additional modeling on that grant, so they have to modify slightly to be able to allow the additional modeling. The other question is, how long is it gonna take? It's probably gonna take, a few months. I wouldn't say it's something that's gonna happen, we're not gonna have this information if we do the hearing next month. It's probably gonna take until, 3-4 months to model that out, I would imagine. So you're probably looking closer to November, December, January before you would actually have a public meeting or hearing on something like this.
Right.
So it's a little bit longer of a process, especially if they have to get additional requests or get additional answers as to how it's going to be covered. Because quite frankly, if it's not covered, then you have to make a decision as to whether you're going to accept what the data and the information is and approve and sign off just the way it is. Or if we still want the information, who's going to pay for it and how do we work through it, right? Likelihood of us paying for it is not, it's not going to probably happen. I would imagine it's up to you for a vote on that, but I think the Lake Malibu needs to proceed with that part of the.
Susie, is there money in the grant available for more modeling?
I just need to make a statement.
Okay.
We've been working on this since the construction breach at Little Falls, at the Willow River,
Which was?
2019.
Yeah, we know, but just for,
Right.
yeah.
So we've gone to the DNR, we've gone to people and asked for help in the damage that it did to our lake. We asked the DNR, please bring it back to pre-construction breach. It took us 3 years to finally get a grant at our expense and our hard work. We got $2 million from the state of Wisconsin. I'm more than happy to help, if we can, the city try to do what they're wanting to do. There is money available. We've been very frugal with it. We couldn't go the dredging route.
No.
It wasn't feasible. We had pushback from that. And so we worked really hard again. We had the meeting last October with the city and other municipal people there to let them know that the DNR was there, Stantec was there. This is what we want to do. We're going to propose a drawdown. And the Lake Association members approved that. So, yes, to answer your question, Joyce, there is money available. We don't know what the modeling, extra modeling is going to cost. We haven't gotten to that step yet. And so that's probably what the next step is. Okay.
Thanks, Susie.
So Brent, you said the key sentence there, that the modeling that's done so far is up and over the dam and then that's it. So whatever goes over, we have no idea where that lands. That's when it becomes our concern, not necessarily right now. So the idea of us, to some extent, the public comment has already started tonight and with all the emails and the information that has been talked about. But without cold, hard facts, or at least running tests and things like that, models, there's not much to comment on because we're all kind of guessing. Well, I don't know if I like it, or maybe I do want that. I don't know. So I think we do have to put our ducks in a row that more modeling is needed. And the idea that once that is over the dam and it becomes our issue, again, who's going to be the final decider that this is correct information? These tests, is this Scantech or Stantec? Are they the Cadillac of testing? Are they a neutral party? I'm just asking that. If they say, "Oh, don't worry about it, City of Hudson, you'll be fine," and then the worst thing happens, I mean, we need some sort of
Well, it's
logical process to think
It's a
about
model.
this.
You know, it's not guaranteed, no matter what. But hopefully it gives us some idea. So, I mean.
Right.
A decision is gonna be based upon whatever information. It's just like anything else. When we get information to us and have a chance to get into the public hearing and get everybody together and hear the pros and cons and the arguments about data, right? Because there will be, just like you see in the emails that we're getting. And then we will have to make a determination, you know, sift through it and make what we think is the best informed decision that we can.
And not to pit one group against the other by any means, because I think we're all in this together.
Yeah.
But, you know, if
Sandtech.
Thank you. Transportation company. You know, if the Lake Malibu Association wants this done, that seems like that's the best route to solve their issue. Is Sandtech, right?
Sandtech.
Sand.
STAN.
Stantec. Okay. If Stantec, I'll use the term working for them and say, here's our numbers. It's all going to be great. Again, I'm just like any other business thing. Who do they work for, and who ultimately is paying them? Yes, it's this.
You'll have them in the room to ask them.
Okay.
All right, Warren, you got?
And just a comment, Stantec is the Cadillac of.
You want to come up to the mic, please, Warren?
Okay.
Yes, I'm Warren Schneider. I'm a Lake Malibu Association Vice President, but also a resident on the lake, obviously, and been involved in this for the entire duration. And just say that you asked the question, are they the Cadillac of testing organizations? Yes, they are. They're the best out there. That's why we hired them, because we need data that we can trust. We hire them to bring data, not to make decisions, not to be partial to us. We want to know, just like you do, what is the situation, what's going to happen, and so we can make an informed decision.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And I'd also like to make a comment that it's not a Lake Malibu Association separate from the city. I mean, we are different organizations, but this is a city problem.
It's
I
a
mean,
community.
It's a community problem.
As I
and so
mentioned,
it's not us against you.
Right.
It's we all want to solve the same problem.
Right, which
So
I
just wanna
mentioned when I opened that I didn't want to pit it, but this is literally as you can imagine, a problem that started well before Lake Malibu. Then it got quote unquote dumped on your lab. And we as a city council is saying, let's not keep dumping that further down the river because we don't know when the music's gonna stop and we're all sanded in or phosphorus loaded or all the above. So that's the only reason I kind of drew the difference between the two.
And just a comment is, we spend a lot of time and effort working up to the state grant. Is it possible that the city might be able to get a state grant for their problem, the beach and North Bay problem, because it's caused by the same breaches in Little Falls Dam that our problem in Lake Malibu was caused by? Perhaps Representative Zimmerman and might be willing to listen and help you out with some money as he did with us.
How long did that take you, Warren?
It took us 3 years. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention, Mike, in your comment is, it's not just Stantec's data. They do the modeling, but the information goes to the DNR, and they check all their modeling. They ask additional questions, and they ask for additional information. So it's been a long process. It's not just Stantec's report. It's the DNR reviewing that and asking additional questions to making sure that environmentally and ecologically, everything's going to be the way it should be.
Okay, thanks, appreciate
Susie,
that.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Can you, so that everybody understands, can you outline the problem we're trying to solve?
The problem that we're trying to solve?
Yes.
I'll tell you the problem we're trying to solve. You see this guy? You see this guy? That's his lakefront property. He's standing in the muck. When we went to do the carp testing, the poor guys from Carp Solutions, they like to go along the shoreline to put their nets in and stuff. He got out of the boat. He needed help getting out. He was stuck in the muck. That's what we're trying to solidify. We need these homeowners to be able to get in front of their homes and get this stuff removed. The DNR has grants for that so that can help them. So the majority of all this stuff that you're talking about is around the edges of Lake Malibu. And the muck and the silt we're trying to compact. That's what we're trying to do. It's all a result of the major construction breach at Willow River Dam. And we just want to correct that and help people and the community that use the lake have it improved.
So when the dam was breached, then a lot of silt moved into the lake, is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands.
We had somebody estimate that 70 truckloads of dirt came down that bank. So that's what we're trying to improve is the lake and remediate the damage that was done. Not just for the lake homeowners, but for the community. We have a mailbox down at the boat landing, and customers can put in their surveys. I got one on July 27th from somebody in Hudson. We asked where they're from. From Hudson, what do you use the lake for? Kayaking. How often do you use it? Frequently. Is the lake beneficial? Yes. Her comment was, the lake is almost unusable because of the weeds and the sludge. That's her comment.
And the owner of that dam, just so everybody hears, the owner of the dam was the Wisconsin DNR for the Willow River Dam, or who?
Was this the DNR? Yes, I believe that's correct. It's the state of Wisconsin had to approve the monies to have the dam rebuilt, to put the new dam in.
Okay, so the owner of the dam during the construction, that was
DNR.
State lands? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want everybody to hear that. So, I mean, a lot of times if you're a dam owner and there are a lot of private dams out there, you're responsible for when that breaches.
Correct.
And you're responsible for cleanup. But in this case, it doesn't seem.
We went to 2 different major attorneys.
Yeah.
Lake Malibu Association, do you have time and do you have money? And we didn't have either one. So that's when we went to our state representatives.
So just so everybody understands
Yep.
all the issues that are part of this.
Yep. Again, we're doing it, it's a community asset. It's, of course, we live on the lake and we enjoy it too, but it's a community asset. There are a lot of kayakers and boarders out there and fishermen. So, thank you. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
All right, Susie, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so what we have before us then is we'd like to just get permission. I don't know that we need any type of real action, but, just 2 things. We would like to send a letter out as the city's official comment to the DNR, similar to this, and may not be the exact wording, but it will be very similar to this, okay? So, do we need action on that, or?
Not if everybody agrees.
Okay.
Unless you want a formal motion in the record.
Doesn't matter.
It's easier for the minutes.
Form. All right, so do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the letter.
I'll second.
A letter, not necessarily this one.
A letter similar in shape
comment.
and
Yep.
comment of that one.
Yep. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion to second? Comment?
My comment is, once you do get the letter finalized, if you would make sure you email
Sure.
that to us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Second is, do we need a formal motion to set a public hearing for this? Does it work better for the minutes?
Sure.
Without knowing when all the other information is together, do we?
No, but we can just say that we're gonna direct staff to set a public hearing when, okay? Somebody wanna make that motion?
Move to direct city staff to publish a public hearing upon receipt of the updated modeling.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion, second, discussion?
I'd like to add that I remember when we first discussed this a year plus ago, the DNR said this is a good way to do it. We'll do the drawdown, it'll compact, everything will be fine. We know a little bit more now than we knew then. I
I would like not only just the study and the modeling, but I would also like to see if they can share with us some success stories in this process. And specifically, maybe not just a lake, but a lake that feeds into a river. Again, we can do all this computer modeling. And again, what I don't want to do is help Malibu just a little bit. You know, if this process is great, then great. And then just, again, move that problem to something else. Because then you guys are swimming and having fun, and now the city of, again, we're all together in a team, but now that problem's moved down the river 100 yards. So if they could do some sort of, rather than just, here's a spreadsheet with numbers on it, I think we need to figure out how this process actually works. It doesn't just one day, it's all a sandy beach and then everything's happy. There's a lot more movement than just numbers can tell us. That's my comment.
We don't want to create unintentional issues down the road, is what you're saying.
That's a better way of saying it. Yes. Right.
Or downstream is what.
Downstream, right,
Would
yeah.
be the better way of saying it.
All right. Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. The last thing then is to discuss the actual application.
Yeah, whether to be part of the existing application, which is changing it from 11.5-foot drawdown to the 7.5-foot drawdown request, or to, I mean, you could make no motion and.
I think it's either
Just
sign
let
the
it sit.
application now or wait until after the public hearing.
Wait
and
till
sign
after the public
application.
hearing, yep.
Wait.
I want to wait.
Okay. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion to wait until after the public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion?
Well, let's just clarify one real quick. Wait until after the city hosted public hearing, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Just to clarify
Okay.
between DNR and here, yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Rich, can I make one more comment?
Sure.
I'd like to say also, I'd like
Come up to the mic, please, Susie.
to be, I would really like the public meeting or hearing to be in collaboration with Lake Malibu. I think there's a collaborative effort here, and we want to show that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we had in mind.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna do a public hearing. You're gonna be there. You're part of it, right?
I would just,
I mean, it's a formal public hearing. We need.
I
it needs to be
understand.
the city that calls the public hearing.
right.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it's-
I'm envisioning it with all the partners. I mean, you know, the county,
Yeah,
the
this is
village,
gonna be
the
you,
township.
Stantec,
Right.
DNR, and the city.
Exactly. Okay.
And,
All
and
right.
I'd like the
Appreciate it.
county.
Thank you.
yeah.
The
We
other
would like
thing
the
is that
county there.
Is this the best venue for it, or should we look
We're
into?
talking the fire station, but I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
that's a
Mhm.
ways off
Yep.
yet. We'll
Okay.
see. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for that. Department head reports. Community development.
I'll be really quick. Lift Bridge is back. They submitted their concept and final development plans for their updated brewery down at St. Croix Meadows. So that's really good. Within the next meeting or two, we'll also be providing an update on the transit system. Now that that's not being paid for by ARPA dollars, that's hitting our budget and obviously gets a little bit more complicated. So ridership continues to increase. It's continuing to serve the population that it was designed to serve, the seniors and the disabled. So that's good. A lot of really kind of new development activity happening. It looks like Doran's going to be kicking off, getting through their final approvals for the multifamily senior living facility behind the Holiday Inn there. There is another user. We talked about liquor licenses earlier today. Be mindful that, there could be more coming in and we're running low again, down to probably our last one, maybe two. So we have that. Otherwise, it's really busy, lots going on. Building department's been doing great. We've actually made up quite a bit of ground to meet and exceed our budgeted levels for revenues. So Great work out of those two gentlemen. So that's really all I have for right now. If anybody has any questions about what's going on.
Do you have an approximate number of rides for the last month or July or June?
I want to say it's right around 1,300 rides.
Okay,
But don't quote me on that. I'll have the full breakdown from the whole year, so.
good.
Two quick questions for you. The property on Stage Line that Gerard was looking at, I saw a for sale sign there. Is it no longer moving forward with
I
that?
haven't seen anything in the last couple months on that one. You know, it's probably still in the pipeline, but
Just don't know. And then I just saw that it said that there weren't any neighborhood meetings. Is there one regarding the Gagnon property coming up here soon, though?
there will. That mailing just went out on Thursday or Friday
Okay.
last week. Yep,
Things like
Thursday.
September 10th or something?
Yep, September 10th at
It's a-
6, and I think it's at the Valley Cartage.
Valley
building.
Cartage?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Becky?
We're in the middle of a lot of things. We're in the middle of short-term rental renewals, so they're slowly coming in. We are working with the parties to get our election worker party list back up and running. That is due by the end of November. So we're working on this. Board of Review is in October, so we're starting to plan for that. And then we have an election, Wisconsin Election Commission Conference coming up in October as well that we'll be attending. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you. Mike?
All right, 4 things to note going on in the city that all of you should be aware of. Number 1, the seal coaters, our fog sealers are going to be in town this week doing an application over all the roads that were seal coated. So that's roads like Stage Line, Aspen, the Bella Rose subdivision, industrial that goes in Fleet Farm. So that's where they go and come and put a fresh layer of oil on top, make it look black, and then they'll striping after that. Second thing is 11th Street. Randy and I were talking about it before the meeting. The last remaining item left to do are some manhole readjustments because there were some that were outside of our spec. So there's a company that's in here today, tomorrow, to make those adjustments. They got to pour some concrete around them after they adjusted. But the goal is to get the barricades pulled and that street opened up by the end of the week on Friday. Okay, so 11th Street will be open on Friday. Third thing is good news. The splash pad, dirt has been moved. Finally, I was getting a little nervous there for a while, but the contractor was in late last week, staked it off, moved some dirt. I was out there on site, kind of getting a lay of the land, where it's going to discharge, so on and so forth. So that project has begun. They are hopeful to get it in and water on to test it yet this year, so that we're up and ready to go first thing next spring. And then the last thing that I'll touch base on are the Public Works and PD facilities. Work has begun on those 2 projects. There are going to be equipment and materials being dropped off this week, but probably pushing dirt probably later in the week for some of the site improvements on the exterior. And Public Works scheduled to be completed substantially middle of January, so it's going to be a fast process. And then the PD facility substantial completion is kind of late March, early April, if everything goes according to plan. Obviously, lead times play a factor in that. But yeah, those 2 projects are kicked off and raring to go. So any questions? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mike. Brent?
All right. Been working a lot on the budget with our finance director. We're setting up meetings. I think a lot of you had notifications, and we're setting up individual one-on-ones with a lot of you to go over some more detail before next Monday, so we can go over it and hopefully make that an even more productive meeting on Monday, the 8th. I've been working on, the stuff that was approved today with the handbook. Working regarding human resources issues. Can't get into some of those details, but working with our attorneys on some of those. And then, of course, the work, return to work policy for October 1st. That went out to all staff, and we've been working through some issues with that, but everybody's expecting to come back to work. If they have been doing part-time, come back on October 1st. As Minnesota laws are changing for January 1st, we are trying to stay out of what Minnesota is mandating for employees that are working within the state of Minnesota. And if anybody's got any questions about that, they can ask me, or you can ask me now, that's fine as well. Working on, let's see, the Lake Malibu meetings. I think we've probably had about 5 or 6 of those meetings over the last 3 weeks, working through that issue. So that's it. If anybody got any questions, please feel free to call me.
Questions? Okay. I don't have anything. Anybody?
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
All right.